So, Ryan Johnson had himself a press conference ahead of the NHL Draft earlier this morning. It's a long one, 17 minutes to be exact. But in order to get the beefiest, the juiciest, the most succulent narratives possible, we're going to go over onto Thomas Drance's Twitter account because he essentially summed it up with the biggest conversations all on a few tweets, so that's very convenient for us to go out there and review what Ryan Johnson, GM of the Vancouver Canucks, spoke about this morning. Of course, there's 17 minutes worth of content here, so if you really want to, you could listen to the whole thing, but we don't got 17 minutes, and we've got some stuff to talk about. Let's talk about what Ryan Johnson said about the Vancouver Canucks potentially trading guys away and what the path seems to be. Ryan Johnson spoke on whether or not the Vancouver Canucks may move about the draft board. There's been a lot of movement and a lot of teams looking to move back. I think it would take a lot for me to move out of number 3. We love being in that spot. Yeah, guess what? Well, there was already one big team that moved back from a top spot in this year's draft. That was the Chicago Blackhawks, who took their 4th overall pick and sent it to Buffalo for Bowen Byram. They didn't even move down. They just traded it away straight up. Meanwhile, you have other teams like the San Jose Sharks. They got themselves the 9th overall pick that once belonged to Florida. It once belonged to Ottawa. And it seems like there are a number of teams here that are also willing to pull back. Can Winnipeg dangle their first-round pick in order to get a win-now piece? What about the Rangers? We already saw conversations on San Jose potentially making a splash. Who knows what's in store? Ryan Johnson then spoke out about the American factor from the perspective of a Canadian-based team, and whether or not these teams should be more wary of drafting American guys. As an organization, you talk about it. Is it something that would make us shy away from drafting a player because of his nationality? Not at this point. And obviously, this is referring to the Chase Reed of it all, him being an American defenseman in a year where we saw Vancouver's best American defenseman and Ottawa's American forward captain demand out of Canada. It's been a bubbling sentiment over the past few years, and the Olympics, the Four Nations, these tournaments only exacerbated the issue. Ryan Johnson, though, is saying that the American factor doesn't seem to be an issue for Vancouver at this point. He then talks about Thatcher Demko. He says he doesn't want to put any pressure on timelines. Ryan Johnson was asked about whether or not Demko may be ready for training camp because it was already posted about on Instagram that Demko is indeed active and he is indeed on the ice. He posted this. He was from, I think, Burnaby Winter Club, something like that. So nice to see that Demko is still in the city doing his thing and working to get back up to form. This is the big one, though. It's the quote that everybody got ticked off about. General Manager Ryan Johnson was asked if he has approached veteran players with no moves and no trades, specifically Filip Hronek, about waiving. He says, not at this point. He adds the Canucks are doing their due diligence. If something develops, that's when they'll approach Canucks players. Yes, we're in a rebuild, but it's not a sell-off, get as young as you can and get your teeth kicked in, and then think things will happen naturally type of deal. We want to insulate players, not just with good players, but with great people. It's not about strip it down as fast as you can, Ryan Johnson said. Now you can see this got a number of responses, a number of replies. Oh, so the Canucks aren't doing anything. Oh my gosh, dude, we get the character shtick. Just make some rebuilding trades if you're actually rebuilding. This has been the sentiment from a lot of Canucks fans, and there's been a bigger pushback from the media trying to defend Vancouver and the way they've been going about their business so far. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but I do understand where both sides are coming from. When you take a look at these big money moves, Simon Nemec getting moved, Filip Hronek getting moved, especially Hronek for the 4th overall draft pick, when you consider the fact that these guys are getting moved for such big prices, you really have to start wondering, if Bowen Byram is worth the 4th overall pick, what is Filip Hronek worth? This is the market that we live in now, folks. We are seeing a new standard being set by these trades. And if the Vancouver Canucks wanted to take advantage, I'd say they have a pretty good market to be attacking with when it comes to their players that they've got. But, as we've said, character prevails, and the Vancouver Canucks are not going to go down the Alvin Rutherford path of airing out their business publicly in order to try to sway things in their favor. And it doesn't seem like they're going to go out there and force guys like Filip Hronek to waive when it's already been reported that Filip Hronek does not want to waive and he wants to stick around in Vancouver. I know you can force guys to do what you want them to do, especially in this NHL climate we live in today. No moves and no trades are essentially as worthless as they've ever been, but they still are there. And I would say it comes from a good character perspective for Ryan Johnson to not go out there and say into the media, yeah, we actually want to trade away Filip Hronek, but the guy won't waive. Hronek, by the way, has Alan Walsh as his agent, so it's not going to be easy to go out there and convince him to do anything that he doesn't want to do unless the Vancouver Canucks actually do develop a proper reason and a proper pitch for Hronek himself. Let's go out there and read some of the other replies. Satyr Shah said, like I've been saying, the Canucks will listen on all their vets, but there are no untouchables. Also, don't expect the team to publicly exert pressure on players with no trade protection. It's a different approach to the one that Rutherford took publicly. I love all the replies acting like Ryan Johnson said, no, I'm not trading Filip Hronek. I get the PTSD when they say things about being careful about how much they subtract, etc., but they'll have to prove it with actions what they're all about. So we'll see. And actions don't necessarily mean, they gotta do it all today. They gotta do it one day before the draft. There's an entire summer here, folks. Sapster went out there and said this, it's actually irresponsible of a team to strip everything down at once. There needs to be checkpoints in a rebuild to ensure a gradual build upwards. Also, you want to obtain draft capital in multiple drafts, not just one. You need to ensure there will be cheap yet good players to fill the lineup once the team starts to contend, and you need varying ages of prospects to sell off so you can supplement the roster later on. Sapster then went out there and gave some checkpoints. Trade Jake DeBrusk by mid-July. Trade Drew O'Connor and Hedel if possible by the 2027 deadline. Trade Pettersson and Linus Karlsson by July 2027. Trade Rossi by 2028 if an extension is unreasonable. Trade Hronek by July 2028, perhaps the 2028 trade deadline if you force his hand, similar to what Edmonton is doing with Darnell Nurse. Mix in a Pettersson and Besser trade within that timeline as well, and perhaps Hronek can be traded earlier if you force his hand like Edmonton is doing with Nurse, plus any free agents that are signed with the intent of flipping them later. All of those checkpoints can change depending on how a player's value fluctuates. They are not set in stone at all. And this is a lot more reasonable and flexible than just, let's force Filip Hronek to waive right now because the prices are at an all-time high. I understand that fans want to see the team make a splash, and there might even be an opportunity to do that. But at the moment, it doesn't seem like those offers have come across Vancouver's table. At least for now. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section. How do you feel about Ryan Johnson speaking out about the Vancouver Canucks trade plan, and what Filip Hronek's role has to do with it all? Do you agree with this sentiment? Do you think the Vancouver Canucks should be patient, like they've been saying this entire time they're going to be? Do you think now is the time to strike with a Hronek trade? Do you force your hand, get San Jose to give you the 9th overall pick, and maybe even, 27th overall as well? You're not getting second for Hronek. At least, that's not what I think is reasonable, but if you do get it, then I guess that's an opportunity to really push yourself up into the top of the draft. Get Chase Reed and Stenberg, or Viggo Bjork and Stenberg. That'd be cool, but either way, Filip Hronek sticking around for now at least. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. 9. and bye.